Stephanie Stewart, who disappeared on the 26th of August 2008 from Hinton, Alberta, was one of the strangest cases in Canadian history to date. Stephanie Stewart worked for 18 years for the Alberta Natural Resources Group that kept watch at 128 wildfire lookouts across Alberta and Canada. For 13 years, she spent the summer at the isolated Athabasca Lookout, which is 25 miles east of Hinton, on a high ridge in the northwest of the province. There is only the desolate road which leads from the valley to the 40-foot-high lookout and log cabin. From Canmore, Alberta, Stephanie was a healthy and adventurous woman. Despite being 70 years of age, she had cycled solo across Canada and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. She had last talked with a family member the night before. When she failed to make her scheduled radio check-in for work that morning, another fire spotter was sent to her lookout to see if she was okay. She was gone. Every morning, Stephanie's supervisor at the Natural Resources Group would either make or receive a phone call from her to confirm she was okay and to update on her operational status. The morning she disappeared, calls were made to Stephanie's phone in the lookout several times, and whomever answered hung up repeatedly. Then the phone was unplugged from its socket and went dead. Because of this, Stephanie's supervisor went out to the lookout immediately, and she had never missed a call in the whole time she worked there, and he was immediately concerned. When the supervisor arrived, there was a pot of water that had been left boiling on the stove, and her truck was still parked outside. Some items were missing from her cabin: 2 pillows with blue covers, a burgundy bedsheet, a Navajo patterned duvet, and a gold watch. Forensic evidence and other information gathered during the early days of the investigation led the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to rule out that Stewart was attacked by an animal, or died in an accident, or suffered a medical episode that caused her to wander away. They concluded she must have been killed by someone. Because of the boiling water, either she must have received a visitor that morning just moments before the phone calls while she was preparing her morning beverage, or a person or persons unknown had spent the night with Stephanie. Whether she wanted their company or not, and the phone call spooked the perpetrator. Either way, the supervisor that arrived on site that morning must not have been too far behind the perpetrator. There were reports of significant amount of blood at the scene, but no details were released. Mark Cymbaluk, a volunteer with the Hinton Search and Rescue, managed the initial search for Stewart. It was one of the largest undertakings in the province. Stephanie has a special place in my heart, says Cymbaluk, who adds that from the back deck of his home, he can see the lookout tower where she worked. The tower itself was not very isolated, as it's about 5 kilometers off a major highway. People could drive up there and look over the valley that extends out of the edge of the Rocky Mountains. But since Stephanie's disappearance, access to the lookout from the road has been blocked to the public. Friend Robin Slater said, quote, "Her perfect place was the lookout, where she tended a huge garden, embroidered, painted, and read stacks of books," end quote. She welcomed the many visitors who came to her lookout. Her body and the missing cabin items have never been found. So what happened to Stephanie? Did she somehow get distracted to the point that she would leave everything behind on a moment's notice, like a pot of water and most of her belongings? What type of distraction could have occurred that she would be willing enough to just leave without any indication of where she had gone? Being that she was on the job, why didn't she think to radio first before ever leaving? Did something completely out of the ordinary happen, paranormal or otherwise, that made her vanish in such a way? Could there have been some kind of unusual weather in the area that might have led to the disappearance? It's been many years and still not a single clue of her disappearance has been found. The case has gone cold.